This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Transformation with Tara Sutphen. Tara Sutphen is the author of Blame It on Your Past Lives and Soul Agreements. 3 audio CD series, metaphysical meditations, sourcing series, and sleep programming. Tara has also collaborated with Emmy Award-winning Shane Stanley and Marla Maples on numerous DVDs. Tara Sutphen is a master in the psychic sciences. If you'd like to find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations to help you fulfill your dreams, visit her website at tarasutphen.com.
All right. Welcome to Transformations with Tara. This is Tara Sutphen. And my guest today is Scott Alexander. And he is a voice professor. He has close to 30 years combined experience in both radio and TV, announcing, voiceover production, promotions, research, sales, and development. And when residing in Southern California, he has worked for DreamWorks, Pop.com, NBC, and is a former member of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. He's voiced hundreds of commercials and for everybody, including the now president and, I guess, do we call her Bruce or Caitlyn Jenner? So, along with the documentaries for the Olympics and promotional trailers, and Scott is just prolific, but he's now a professor at the university teaching voice. And so, welcome, Scott.
Hi. Well, thanks for that write-up there. I'm working over at CLU. Professor sounds pretty ominous, doesn't it? Wow.
It's great.
And I do enjoy that ominous, with the students. They interact with me in that type of, yes, professor. And it's like, I have to look around going, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh, me. Yeah, that's right. That's me. But, no, it really is a wonderful, last time we talked, I was just about to get into this, this job over at CLU. It's really an absolutely fantastic college, California Lutheran University in Thousand Oaks. It's such a wonderful facility. And we, of course, are the home of the Los Angeles Rams. They've got their practice facility right next to us. And that really is exciting a lot of the students because they all want to go into sports broadcasting. So a lot of them do anyway. So that is really kind of exciting. So we've got that going for us at CLU, and it draws in kind of the best of the best. My students are really, really wonderful. But,
fun.
Yeah, it's really a great time. And like I said, last time we spoke, Tara, I was just about to begin this, and I was really excited about teaching, and it turned out to be even better than I anticipated. I had
really
wonderful guests. Bob Eubanks from the Newlywed Game came in, and he is such a prince, just an amazing guy, and he kind of set the tone for the entire semester. And then we had Tim Conway Jr. from KFI, as well as, and he made me feel like I was his best friend for, forever. And we had just briefly met before. Also, we had Maggie McKay from The Wave and KNX Radio, as well as the insane Daryl Wayne, who was the original programmer for the K-Rock in Los Angeles. I mean, it was really an amazing thing. I even reached out to Jim Ladd, and he was interested in how we were doing. Jim Ladd, of course, is the last American DJ that was on KLOS. KME, I think it was, could have been KMET before, but he's been in Los Angeles radio for years and years and years, and he's kind of the free-form guy. And that's where we wanted to take it. I wanted to give the students, my students, an opportunity to play the music they like and talk about whatever they want, whatever their passion is, before they went into the real world, because then it all changes. Then you have to do whatever the man says. And that's really where I was encouraging them to go.
Right, because freeform is not really where it's at these days, right?
No, it's not. It literally is one of those things where you have to be told what to play and when to play it and everything else and what to say, actually. You're really limited now as a radio announcer to what you can do. I've heard stories of program directors at a radio station actually having a kill switch, and after 15 seconds, killing your mic. And so it's like, you're only talking for 15 seconds. You better get under the wire. And here I encouraged them. I gave them parameters, of course, in order to get that job in the real world. But I encouraged them to talk about their passions. And some of the students really surprised me and had really great takes on things. And it made me have to open up as well, because some of the music I don't like. I went in going, and I don't listen to that kind of music sometimes, and it could have been variables. But I decided, I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to have an open mind, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to enjoy them putting it together and creating radio shows and, making the connection with the audience through the music. And not only that, but whatever they were talking about and relating with our audience. And that was real important to me to see them grow. And it was really fun. We just got done with the semester. Our finals came in. They all produced an air check that is going to give them an opportunity to work in the business. And that opportunity is hopefully going to propel them into great things. But it was just exciting to see them grow over the last semester, some of them by leaps and bounds. It was really, really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was what was so wonderful about it. And here's what I find is that, especially with the university setting, that people want to help. People want to give. And I had one fascinating guy come into my class. It was late in the semester. Bill May. He is the senior vice president for Premier Radio Networks, all the radio shows in America that are broadcast everywhere. He's the guy that's pretty much in charge. I mean, he's the number 2 guy at Premier Radio Networks. Huge organization. iHeartMedia, you've heard of it. Yeah, they are blasting shows like Coast to Coast with Bill Norrie. Also, Rush Limbaugh, all the biggies go out of Premier Radio Networks. And it's just an amazing facility, an amazing, company, as well as
platform.
It was just amazing to have Bill May come in. He didn't know me from Adam, but one of my previous guests, Barry Funkhauser, who's all over radio here in L.A., he was working over Premier, and he was talking about it, and Bill said, hey, I want to go. And so Bill came in and took some of his precious time and talked to my students, and wow, what a fascinating guy. Fascinating guy. It really was one of those things where now I'm going to have Bill, if he wants to, if he would agree to it, to come in early, because he really set the stage for, hey guys, you really want to get into this business and really get serious about it. And there's so many things that are going on in the communications department, like I am. The communications is literally lopsided. It's crazy right now, because you've got the fake news type of commentary that's going on, and I'm really one of those types of folks that, hey, you know what, guys, you've got to understand that the radio world, the television world, the internet world is just literally on its head right now. And I believe a paradigm shift is not only coming, but I think it's already here. I think we just don't recognize it yet. But the paradigm shift has come, and we are just starting to all react or wake up to it. And that's what I'm telling my students, is that, you've got a voice, you have something to say, and what you have to say is no smaller or not important as anybody else's voice. Everybody's got a voice, and you should listen to opposing viewpoints. I want you to insist on listening to opposing viewpoints in order to broaden your horizons, because I believe that iron sharpens iron. And instead of being emotional in your replies, I want you to actually fact check and have sources to back up your arguments and facts. And And so it's one of those things that right now it's an exciting time, and I can go on and on, as you can tell, about.
Wow, yeah, I love it. I mean, it just teaches them in life just to have a voice, and
Absolutely.
that you fact check. You just don't throw it out and expect it to be that's fact. Yeah,
Absolutely.
just because you have an emotional reaction to something.
Yeah,
I love that.
I tell them literally on the first day that this is the most important class you're going to ever take. And they're like, oh, yeah, right. They usually come into me for that easy A. But the reality is that communication is all. If you can communicate any idea, it doesn't matter what business you're in. It doesn't matter if you're in the radio. It doesn't matter if you're in TV, movies, or a lawyer, or if you're just wanting to, work at the fast food restaurant. You've got to be able to communicate your ideas in a linear fashion. And what I'm saying is that you have to have a beginning, middle, and end to your thought. And I teach linear thinking, linear writing, linear speaking, which is have a beginning, have a middle, and have an end. And usually in radio, you want that end to be a payoff of some sort, either a great joke, or you want to have some sort of information that you've led your listener on a path to pay off with. And so they can go ahead and find out more if they want to find out more. And so that's the important thing that I'm teaching them. And if you can do that in my class or any other class, then you're going to be fine in life, because you might have an idea. And that is, it might be an easier way to scrub a toilet or something. Or, it doesn't have to be a huge idea, but any idea to kind of propel us forward, then great, use it. And you are not discounted as an individual. It doesn't matter who you are. You have a voice. And I tell them each that, and I don't like to blow smoke, and I'm not telling them they're all special snowflakes or anything else. Of course, the human experience is all special to all of us. But what I do want them to know is that when they come to me and when they're in my class, you are going to learn about your abilities to express your passions and what you're passionate about. And some of my students have surprised me and entertained me. There are some shows that I like to listen through and through, and there's other shows that I just kind of skip around and while I'm grading their finals and their air checks and whatnot. But it really is interesting to see them teach me as well in this process. Like, okay, I've got to open myself up to your type of music, your type of, your opinion.
Well, to the new generation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, these are the leaders of tomorrow. These guys are at the university, and a lot of my students, with the ICOU club is, they're superstars. They're superstars. There's the type of people that, I wasn't in high school. I know that possibly you were, but, those go-getters that were in every club, that were, at every rally and, did the dances and all the plays and all the things that, were at the high school and in the college and everything else. No, these guys are extreme, just extroverts and superstars that they're just really kind of fun to watch how they operate, and they're going to be successful in whatever they do. But, wow, it just, it really is a rewarding experience for me. And I know that, I know that we have talked about it over the year, and I have become surprised of how fun it actually was to teach this class this year.
Well, I think it's funny, Scott and I are brother and sister. And he's my other brother besides Jason. And it's funny that he became a voice, because everybody used to say when he was little that I would answer for him. And he was a very quiet child. And
because you were answering for me. That's why.
Yeah.
I had to go on the radio just so people would listen to me. And you
right.
talking over me. Absolutely.
Yeah. Scotty actually finally was able to say something. But I wasn't really that extroverted. Sisters. I think I was protective.
Oh yeah, well that's it.
I was always protective.
Happens, yeah. As a sibling, that's what you do. Right. So. Yeah.
But it's so funny that he says I'm an extrovert in high school, because I didn't feel like an extrovert in high school, but maybe I've always been kind of I did always feel I had a voice.
Yeah, well, that's it. And the reality is that we all do. We all do have a voice. And that's when I try to teach my students. What I really enjoyed this year was intuitively teaching them. And what I mean by that is that we would go into the studio and I'd have a couple of students that wanted to team up. And instead of telling them what their roles were in their show, I would watch them walk into the studio and where each one of them would sit naturally. And that, I believe, is, the natural way, the organic way of things is the best way. And so I would allow them to choose their roles on a subconscious level and then stick with those roles. And then I would point out that I would then enlighten them and say, okay, you sat here because you have these strengths to go ahead and manipulate the board, the control board, while your co-host will be over here and she will be probably, not so involved in that electronic process of radio that you can be, it totally is consuming, as you know. So it's one of those things.
Right. So how is your classroom set up? Is there boards for everybody to like?
Well, I've got a beautiful facility, actually. I've got a control room, which is for ICLU. It's an internet radio station. And also I've got a production room, which is a beautiful facility. It's got 5 mics and really is a wonderful facility that we can have guest speakers come in, or we can have a band come in or whatever, and they can talk and do their thing without having to go into the control room, which only has 2 mics. But those 2 connect. If you want to put them both on the air at the same time, you can. And it really is a wonderful studio setup. I mean, it's all the latest.
So it's like a college fun, the
yeah.
fun. So it becomes
a
fun class. So you're the fun class.
You know what? I hope to be. And matter of fact, I also believe that radio, any of the, communication arts, the one thing I've learned over a long period of time being in this business is that you cannot beat anybody into creativity. You have to allow these things to naturally happen. And a lot of times, in order to create that, you have to create an atmosphere of fun. And, it seems like we're goofing around, but the reality is that, we're not. And I kind of take it from the model that I used to work for at pop.com. DreamWorks is great at this as well. They led that. But pop.com was Steven Spielberg, Ron Howard, and Paul Allen, their internet venture early on in, I think, 1999, 2000. Anyway, when I was there, we would have meetings. We'd hold meetings over the ping pong table. Or we would hold meetings, if there was a group of us, we would all take a putter, and we had a 9-hole course in the office. And we would just talk right there on the golf course, about the plans. And we would dream. And it would be one of those brainstorming sessions that had no limits. We would just keep talking. And there was nothing out of bounds at that point in time. And when you're in that relaxed type of atmosphere, that's when you become creative. You really become creative. And that creative spark can really lead to some genius. It did at pop.com, that's for sure. They were talking about social media and Facebook and all that stuff years before it actually happened. They, of course, didn't get a chance to implement it, but we had the meetings. We had folks that were talking about it, and, who knows? I could have been the next Jeff Zuckerman, but that didn't work out quite like I thought. Anyway, the thing is that in order to create, it has to be an atmosphere of fun, and the pressure has to be off. And the reality is that they're going to go into the workforce, and there's going to be deadlines, there's going to be commitments. They're going to have to actually meet those deadlines with product, and it's all going to happen in their lives. But here at this point in time, what I'm trying to do again is I'm trying to spark that creative thought, and also help them focus on what their passion is, and help them learn to communicate that passion in a confident way, so they can go ahead and go out there on the radio and just literally have fun with their audience. So that was That was my goal. And I think we achieved that goal in this semester, because I've been teaching voiceover for years over at CLU, but this is the first time I've ever taught radio. And radio is kind of a different animal. It's a little bit more structured. You know, you have to kind of, you have to talk about things that you know about. You don't have a script in front of you. You have to be passionate about it. You have to go ahead and be able to just, tap into that stream of consciousness and riff about whatever for a period of time, and make it compelling, also make it interesting, make it somewhat rewarding for the listener. That's the thing that I'm trying to teach them in that class. And I think we really hit some home runs in this last semester. And I've got a new semester coming up in January. So right now it's a nice little break during the holidays, but we're setting up the next semester.
Right. You're on the teacher schedule now. So how about, so when does the semester start? And can people still sign up?
I think so. Yeah, you can go to CLU. It's Radiocom 334, I believe. It's that's the class, and it's one of those things that we had probably close to 20 students in the last class. I had 2 classes in the day, and in my second class I had 20 students. So
that's nice.
It was really nice because we had, and what's funny is that we'd always run out of time, especially when I was doing air checks, or I'd go one-on-one with students into the production room and listen to their latest air check and say, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that, and kind of help them hone their skills to make sure that they weren't just sounding like they were on the phone at 3 a.m. talking to their girlfriends or whatever, because it's like, no. You gotta have more than that.
Right.
And some of my students, I had one that was just, he would just do the Barry White, just be, and it was like, great.
Oh, Barry White.
And he had a great voice, but it was sounding like he was chatting up his girlfriend, and it's like, and what happened was, throughout the course, he learned that he had to take the marbles out of his mouth, and he had to enunciate, and he had to be factual and have facts ready and be prepared to be spontaneous. And the great thing was that he, at the end of the semester, is probably going to get a gig. The great thing is that they all want internships. And so what I've done is I've got them fast-tracked to the premier radio networks down in Los Angeles, as well as iHeartMedia stations with KFI and KISS and a couple of other, as well as CBS Radio. And they also have fast tracks to internships at AEG Golden Voice. If they want to get behind the scenes with the musical artist and get into that aspect of it, that's great. And these are things that I didn't anticipate or even ask for. They were offered. And that was what was so wonderful. These folks that came in and talked to my students and conveyed what they knew in the business, they offered these things. And it was really, really wonderful to be able to offer them to my students, because that's it. It's who you know. Once you get into the business, it's great. You're able to.
Well, yeah, you have to be talented, and you have to go forward. It's nice. That's so beautiful. And it's great just for them. If they never use it, they use it within their own life. Their families, can understand them, and they have more of a voice. And, because certainly, like even you, Scott, like you were a quiet child. So
I was the mumbler. Yeah, I was the mumbler. I never really.
I mean, my parents were so surprised. Well, our parents. They were so surprised when Scott went into the radio, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Because how old were you, 15 or 16 when you went?
I went in pretty early, yeah. As you could tell, I'm very young still to this day. And so I must have been really young when I started.
Really young.
Just a child, merely a child. I had this voice at 7 years old. Go figure. It was one of those things. I think I started right out of high school, and I got out of high school early in my senior year, It was, I don't know, it's kind of crazy now when you look at it and get older. It's like, why didn't I stay in school and get that free schooling as long as you can, But of course, at the time,
yeah.
At the time, you're like, I'm out of here,
Right.
You can't do
Well,
anything
that's all high
fast
school.
enough when you're
I don't
younger.
know what that is. I know. I don't know what that is about high school.
That's just youth. It's
yeah.
youth. Just you
Mm.
can't grow up fast enough. And once you grow up, it's like slow down. Yeah, it's just a
Right.
little too. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and college is a whole different thing because, my psychic class, they're teens. I take the teens 13 on up. And they've been so funny as far as trying to wrestle around high school, and then they'll talk about their parents or different teachers and stuff, and I say, wow, misdirected rage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why don't we put some of that good energy and some of that energy into a good use, Yeah, so it's been pretty fun and funny. But I feel that, like my work and like all the hypnosis, and I do a lot of certification, is, it's the power of the mind. And that's, again, you can use in any business, any activity in your life. You center yourself and go forward. It's not about this. So you steady the voice and I steady the mind, and it's like, come on, let's go forward. Life is to be lived and to be happy. And, Scott and I lived an incredible childhood because we had each other and Jason and Amy, and we just laughed ourselves silly and had so much fun when we were kids.
Yeah, we did have a great childhood, that's for sure. And, you look back at it, and especially when you talk to other people, and some of the family dynamics that you're surrounded with, and you like, what is that? Because, I believe that, and I know you're of the same mind as far as, family is to strengthen each other and come together and help each other and support each other and, cry with each other and laugh with each other and, and forgive all the things that, are make us different anyway. It's not important when it's family. It's one of those things where we need to, understand each other. It was really fascinating, Tara. This is one thing that I really enjoyed. I had a couple of in exchange students in my class, and one of them was from Norway. And the guy was just a brilliant kid and very sharp. And he was the one that took he actually took up the Premier Radio internship. And I was so proud of him because he did this on his own. He went around me. I didn't even have to go through. He didn't have to go through me. And he took that internship and he ran with it. And he was over at the Kodak Theater just recently with a huge concert that they were having. iHeartMedia was having, and he was part of the Premier Radio Network aspect of it. So they had 3 tiers there. It was television, radio, and internet, all there at the Kodak Theater on the red carpet, and he was there helping out. And he's going back to Norway to be he wanted to be a television producer, but now he's thinking about possibly being in radio because of this class. And I've told him, of course, hey, aim higher, go back into television. That's where your money's at. So, but and it's important, but we've also agreed, and I talked to almost every one of my guest speakers, and it was amazing too, because this was the synchronicity of it all. Because when I came into this job, you go in and, yeah, I've got experience in radio, but do I have experience in teaching? I love it, and I have a passion for it, but the one thing I did was, in order to make this job happen, I had to quit a job I've had for 15 years. And it was a huge leap of faith for me. I didn't know, oh, geez, what am I doing? 15 years of steady income, and I'm leaving the radio business, on the air, in this town that I live in. And I thought, oh, man, that's scary. And so I go into this class, and my thought was that it's a leap of faith, and that you got to trust every door that opens will open for you, and every door that closes for a purpose. And instead of fighting that, I decided, have faith and just, it's the right thing. Just go forward. Just go forward with knowing that the right thing is happening at all times for you. And the speakers that I had would come in, and it was so great too. They would literally echo what I was telling the students. And so it was an affirmation, it was validation, and they were, the students would then look at me like, wow, he does know what he's talking about. It's like, yeah. And the one thing that most of my instructors or the folks that came in, my guests who came in, would say is that radio people are so much better on the air and on TV. A lot of my students want to be on TV. Everybody wants to be Kim Kardashian and want to be a star. But and they all want the attention. They want to be on TV. They think that's where it's at. And yes, to a point, yeah, that's great. But in order to learn how to communicate, everybody's going to know how to communicate. If you're going to be on TV, you're going to want to be more than just reading cue cards. You want to be able to tap into a stream of consciousness like you do when you're on the radio. And everybody that came in pretty much agreed that all radio people are they're a lot sharper than the folks that are just on TV and just have had that TV experience. And they've had instances where a TV person was given the cue to go ahead and stretch or talk or whatever for a long period of time, and they would just go, deer in the headlights.
Right,
radio people just, they know how to handle that kind of thing, and they would just go ahead and march forward with it. And so that is why I believe radio is all important if you're going to become a communicator, because it is an intimate medium. You talk to one person and the listener has this intimate connection rather than TV. It's kind of a mass communicating device that doesn't, I don't know, and maybe it speaks to you. There are shows that will speak directly to you, but then there's, just shows that are just video wallpaper, it seems like, So it's one of those things that I found interesting that they all consistently agreed with me that radio people have a sharper instinct when it comes to media. And that's what I wanted to impart into my students as well, is let them know that, hey, you know what, this may not seem like television, and they all want to be actors or TV or whatever, but this is the beginning. And communication, once you get that ground floor going, then you can go ahead into other mediums and other levels of your communications degree.
Well, I believe that it starts with passion. That
yes.
someone has something to say. Because I know just from my personal experience that, I never felt like I had a lot to convey or to share. And until I got my body of work, I can talk, till the cows come home on astrology or psychic ability or anything now, hypnotism, to anyone. And so
that's your passion.
That was my passion, and that's what I can talk about. So it's interesting, because, because you are teaching people, they have to talk about other people, they have to talk about events, they have to talk about the weather, and you learn to kind of bring it all up and around to where it's exciting, or they have a inflection in their voice to be listened to. And I think that's important. I think it becomes important just for their everyday life.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And what I'm teaching people is, if you're going to be talking about the weather per se, what you want to do is you want to talk about how you're relating to it. Man, I had to wear 2 sweaters rather than the weather's going to be, cold with, you can't just read the laundry list anymore.
Right.
And what I'm teaching people is that you have to connect with your audience, find that common connection and go with that. And that's what I was taught in the last, I've been doing this for 30 plus years. And I just in the last 5 years, thanks to a good buddy of mine, Chris Cox, he was the guy that pretty much opened up that you've got to connect with your listening audience. You can't just say it's cold. You got to say, hey, I'm wearing 2 sweaters, and you have to interact and relate with your audience with that, rather than just reading a laundry list of what the weather's like. And that's what I was teaching my students as well, is that relatability. And they do it all the time in their own life, in their conversations around people. And that's kind of what we were trying to convey as well. That ease of conversation that you have with your friends that we're having right now, that kind of thing. Well, you want to go ahead and have that same type of ease on the radio or whatever you're doing, on the TV, whatever you're doing, and making that connection. And if you have to picture somebody when you're on the radio, then do that friendly face that you know, that you love, that you trust, that is safe, that you can go ahead and just kind of, giggle and laugh with, then do that, And so that I thought was really important. I wanted to go back to the fact that my exchange students, I had a couple of kids from Saudi Arabia, and their language barrier was very definite. It was huge. I mean, really, really interesting to listen to their syntax. You know how you get those guys from India on the helpline and hey, this is Jim from, and that they're not really from America because their syntax, the way they communicate is different. Same thing happened with these guys. But I'll tell you, the sweetest kids and very polite, really an amazing thing. And we're especially now, and it was something for me too. I had to learn, and it was something very good for me to learn, is that, they're Muslims. But the reality was they're individuals. And these kids,
very important.
Although these kids are very, I believe they came from an advantaged life. But they were just really sweet kids and always polite and always, very astute and just, always wondering how they can, just please me more as students. And it was great. It was great to see them thrive in my class. And, again, it was interesting. One of them had the history of, the Arabic music on his radio show. And it was fascinating to listen to all this great Arabic music, and I just had to open up. I had to be open. And that's one thing that was good for me, to open my mind a little bit and just, embrace everybody that's there instead of, who are these people? No, it's like,
Right. Well, you've been in a sound booth. You've been in a sound booth every day for how many years?
Yeah, that's true.
Years.
Yeah, I've been alone for the last 30 years in some sound padded room. Yeah, talking to myself. Yeah, exactly. But it was just really interesting too that these guys kind of demystified some of the the overarching broad swipes that we get with people that we should be fearing. It's like, these guys were pretty good kids, and I really found that I had an affinity for them, and it just really really special guys.
Yeah, congratulations getting out of your padded room.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? And that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all have to kind of get out of our padded room. And that's what I'm trying to teach in my communication class, is that opposing viewpoints are healthy.
Yes.
They're not to be shouted down, especially on the university campus. They are not to be shouted down. They are to be listened to. And they are to be respected because everybody's got a voice. And you don't have to shout down the other guy. Matter of fact, if you shout down the other guy, you lose the argument with me. And because of the fact that if you cannot substantiate your argument with facts and in a civil manner, then you're not debating. Then you're not conversing. Then you're not having a dialogue. And we have to have a dialogue in order to survive the day that we're in, because the paradigm shift has come. If you're waiting, it's too late. It's over. It's already happening. And it's going forward, and there's nothing you can do about it. Enjoy the ride. Hold on. Some of you might have to hold on a little tighter. But here it is. Because last time we were on, Tara, I told your audience and I told you that there was a polarization that was coming.
Yeah.
Voila. Yeah. Was I right? Yeah, I was right. And, that polarization, everybody's choosing sides, everybody's choosing opinions and all that kind of stuff. And
except me, I'm not.
Here's the thing. My message as a communicator and especially as a professor is that you've got to listen to both sides. Don't shout them down. They could be wrong. You can have an opinion. You could discern. You could know good from bad. That there's nothing wrong with that.
course.
But
Well, and you're not, and if anybody's putting anybody else down, like in the radio or something, that's when it's a problem, Yeah, I always feel that everybody has a mother, and every mother loves their child. Whether or not, that's entirely true. There's always bad apples in every culture and
everything.
Creed and every religion and everything. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So the bottom line is not to be soured in life, because being soured in life is not living your life, and your life is important, and to live the best life is to be in grace. So that's my thing. Yeah. As Scott knows, I try to step into living a beautiful life every moment and laughing a lot.
One of the things that always struck me, and I don't know if I said this last time, but Jess Stern, our good friend, he said that Tara is the wisest woman I know. And, there might be some truth to that. I do believe there's some truth to that. And now, over the years, I've been able to see a lot of that, because I always equate it with Mary and Martha. It's the biblical story of the two ladies that were good friends with Jesus. And I don't know which one it was, but when Jesus was coming to them, Mary ran to him and wanted to be part of the experience, where I think it was Martha. She went to the kitchen and cleaned up, and she wasn't part of the experience. She was filling herself and filling her time with kind of empty things rather than being at the foot of this great light. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? And that's the thing that I think Jess was trying to convey to me about you, is that you've always been one of those types of people that isn't doing the minutia, isn't interested in the minutia of the background. You're there if you're going to, you're going to go reaching out and, be part of the experience rather than trying to clean up and get, everybody else enjoying the party. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense to you? As far as the important thing is to recognize what's important at the time rather than trying to fill the time with emptiness. And there's a lot of important things. And again, our communication as a professor, I'm looking at it. We're all looking at the screen on our phone, and we're not communicating. We think we're communicating more with more people with Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is we're not communicating with each other. And that, I believe, will be part of the change that's coming, is that we will be communicating with each other on a deeper level. Meaning, I think that the spiritual aspect of our understanding is going to open up in the next year, depending upon who you are, of course. But, and we all grow at a different pace. But the thing is that, our entire communication as a society, our medias are all changing. The television model, the internet model, the radio model, everything is changing. And that's the other thing that I told my students, is that make sure that, and because I told them that, you're the leaders of the change. You're the leaders of the change. Just because it doesn't seem to fit this shoe right now doesn't mean it won't in the future. And you got to realize that everything changes. Moore's law is that technology changes over every 18 months anyway. But the way that we deliver our communication to each other is changing. Virtual reality is starting to come into play. I mean, there's so many things and so many opportunities, rather than being limited to, just looking at the radio market and I can't get in. You know what? You've got social media. You've got, you can start your own blog. You can get on the radio network here and have a radio show. I'm sure you can talk to, Cameron about CRT or CTR radio network and just kind of get on there. And, there's all kinds of opportunities out there. Don't limit yourself to just, don't limit yourself, especially when you're in the communication field. There's a lot of people out there now on YouTube. And the world has changed. The world has changed. And again, I embrace that change. I think it's going to be wonderful because there's going to be so many different viewpoints. There's going to be so many different voices out there and so many different passions that we're going to be able to, that's going to enlighten us literally because of, just, the fact that the gatekeepers are no longer in control. And I think it's a wonderful thing. So.
Right. I think too, you should probably make a list of places where, they can be on the radio, where they don't necessarily have to wait. They can practice, on something like the Contact Talk Radio. If they're, they can be a host. They can have interviews. They can interview anybody they want and reach out. It's a fabulous, fascinating platform. I've been so lucky to be with, Contact Talk Radio for 7 years, but 7.5, I'm going on 8. So the thing is that, I think that, there's a couple other platforms. These are things that help everybody continue on with their voice. I never thought I'd be on the radio, as we all know. It was kind of my last.
Well, you saw your brother, and of course you all wanted to follow.
I know, we followed in your footsteps.
I get it. A little hero worship.
That's true. Yes. Jason has a show.
Exactly.
Jason hosts
I
a
get
lot
it.
for me, and there we go. Yeah, it's very fun.
Yeah, well, it is. It is fun because of the fact that it's an intimate form of communication, and it really is fascinating for the listener as well as for the folks that are talking. It's almost like a fly on the wall when you're listening to some of your great guests, and just being able to kind of share in that passion that you all have.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of wonderful stuff. And it is one of those things where, I tell my students to explore it, go out there, get it. I've got one student that I think is going to be, a star. And you know what? His voice is terrible voice.
But he has the momentum.
He's first and foremost, he's smart. Second of all, he's passionate and he's funny. And he's got, it's perfectly squared for whatever he wants to do. He's a nerd and he talks about comic books and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my God, you can make $1 million, pal, if you get this thing together. And so I'm really, it's just kind of fun to see them all surprise me and, to see these kids grow up. Yeah. It's just really wonderful to see them growing as human beings and having potential. He's probably going to make movies and all that kind of stuff because he's also
well, if he doesn't get his hopes dashed, that's the thing is you keep going forward and you don't allow the naysayers in your life because you're going to find your niche. It's like a big niche thing.
Yeah. See, the world's changed though, and that's what I tell them is that don't worry about the gatekeepers anymore. If you have an idea for a movie, make the movie. You can broadcast it on YouTube, or whatever. Right. If you've got an idea for a radio show, make the radio show. You can go ahead and broadcast it on all kinds of places. It just move forward. Do whatever you want to do. Feed that passion. Go do it. A studio. I've got a studio that costs less than, $1,000 that you can create all kinds of stuff on. I've got, movie programs. I've got, and of course today being in communication, you can't be just a one trick pony anymore. You have to do it all. You have to be on social media.
Now,
you got to do all that stuff.
You're still doing voiceovers and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do voiceovers and commercials still. And so you're available for hire on that. So how can people get a hold of you? Do you have a website, Scott?
I do not have a website. I do have an email though. They can contact me at voxalexander@gmail.com. And, let me give that to you again. It's VOXALEXANDER@gmail.com. And I've done, like you said, narration for, movies. I've done, imaging for trailers for movies. I've done commercials for that restaurant with that deep, juicy beef steak or whatever. And I've also done, kind of rock and roll stuff too, rock and roll shows and commercials for television and that kind of thing too. And so, depending upon the intensity and depending upon what you need, then, that's what we do. We just make it happen. And, I'm extremely expensive though. And that's, just be prepared for that. Just kidding. I'll work with your budget. but I am expensive. The thing is, but no, it's one of those things that it's pretty wonderful. And my dream someday is to be on the road with, my little mini studio in a Winnebago, going across country and having a Wi-Fi access and being able to, just cut my spots, my commercials from, or whatever type of, production I have to do. Just stop the truck. We need Wi-Fi, and pick up my email. And this is what I'm doing now. I pick up an email from across the country, comes to me with a script, and then I just go ahead and send it back in an audio file. And then the checks come weeks later, that's, or days later, depends upon who they are. But it's really a great fun existence right now. And I've also got my wife working on it too. I use her as the female voice, and she's absolutely great.
Oh, she's great.
So we've got a team going on here that can do anything. Yeah. So it's really kind of fun. Yeah.
Right. That is fun.
It's a lot of fun.
And she does have a great voice. Who knew, I mean.
Oh, I know.
She wasn't on the radio, but Scott put her to work. It's pretty great.
Oh, well, females are huge. That was one of the things in my class, and I know we're running out of time, but that was one of the things in my classes that the lady said, hey, can we have some ladies coming in? So next semester, we're hoping to have some ladies come in that are going to fill the bill. And who knows? It's going to be a lot of fun. But ladies, you've got opportunities in the voiceover world. Let me tell you right now, tons of opportunities, lots of opportunities, much more so than guys even, because probably about 90% of the market is filled with men and 10% is ladies. And when you find a great lady's voice, wow.
So you can, they can get to you as far as signing up for the class through the university, and that's California?
California Lutheran University of Thousand Oaks, yeah.
Right.
And it's COM 304. COMM 304. Or 334, I think it is. 334. Yeah.
Okay.
Got a couple
and voxalexander.com. And then
it's voxalexander@gmail.com.
Gmail.com.
So voxalexander@gmail.com, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it guarantees nothing. It may go into the spam file. I don't know, but you go ahead and put something in the subject, and that will help me because I get about 1,000 emails a day. Yeah. So.
Okay. So how, and Jess used to call you Commander Alexander.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that was because I was on the radio at one station, a couple of stations actually, is Commander Alexander playing 50s and 60s doo-wop radio at the Boomer. Yeah. A lot of fun.
Right.
But,
well, you're on the exciting journey. It's great.
And listen for me coming up on the radio next year. I'm just going to go ahead and prophetically just claim that now. I believe that, I know good things are happening just because of the fact that, I've met more people out of the business while I've been teaching that could connect me to great things than I have while I've been in for 30 years.
Isn't that funny?
Again, you never know where the broken road leads you. You have to have faith and you got to trust.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm doing.
So next week is the holidays, and what would you like to convey to everybody, Scott?
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope that, everybody has a wonderful experience, that you just kind of grace your life and get along with others that you don't normally get along with. We all have those people in our life, and, luckily it's not my close family, but I know that it's extended family for me. And, it's just be in grace and accept others and know that you walk in magic. And when you start to create this life for yourself, your voice, the power of your mind, your life becomes so wonderful. Anyway, Scott, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, sis.
And, and happy Yule and all the great holidays. Happy New Year. Okay. Blessings, everyone.
Thank you for sharing your time with Tara Sutphen. Find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations to help you fulfill your dreams by visiting her website at tarasutphen.com.